Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, April 18th, 2016. Looking at precipitation, the observed precipitation you can see over the past 7 days on the map on the left, and really the northern part of the Great Basin has received most of the precipitation, while central and southern portions of the Great Basin haven't had quite enough. You can see from the map on the right that's showing us the percent of normal over the past 7 days, and the areas in red and yellow are those that are below normal. And it's really the central and southern part of the Great Basin again that are well below normal. The areas in red are below 25% of normal. You can see there are some portions of the Great Basin that have been below 25% of normal. So generally over the past 7 days, the northern 2/3 of the Great Basin has been wet, while the southern has been quite dry. Looking at the infrared satellite, we can see low pressure to the east of the Great Basin, and we will see some northerly flow over the Great Basin through today with that low pressure system where it is. Looking at the ventilation index for today, you can see that most of the Great Basin is in that good to excellent range. It's really just portions of western Nevada and western Idaho that are in the Port-a-Fair range, and those are the reddish colors that are that Port-a-Fair range for mixing. If we look in a little more detail, the image on the left is showing us the transport winds, and the transport winds are strongest across most of Utah and eastern Nevada and portions of Idaho with that northerly flow from the low pressure system. So where we see those better transport winds, we will see the better mixing values. And if we quickly take a look at the mixing height, that's the image here on the right, you can see the mixing heights are the highest across the eastern part of the Great Basin. As we move into Tuesday, that low pressure system moves to the east, allowing high pressure to build over the western part of the Great Basin. And if we look at the ventilation index, we see that ventilation index will decrease from today into tomorrow as that high pressure builds across the western part of the Great Basin. We will still see some good to excellent mixing across portions of Utah, but really most of the rest of the Great Basin will see Port-a-Fair mixing moving into Tuesday. And if we look at that in a little more detail, you can see that the winds will decrease mainly across the western portion of our area moving into Tuesday, and that is largely responsible for those decreasing mixing values tomorrow. So we move into Wednesday, we'll start to see winds increase across much of Nevada ahead of an approaching system, and as a result, the ventilation index will improve a bit across western Nevada, while it will decrease across western Utah as high pressure shifts eastward into the eastern part of the Great Basin. And if we take a look at transport winds, you can see from the image on the left that transport winds will begin to pick up across western Nevada on Wednesday with that system approaching. Taking a quick look at the Utah Forecast Clearing Index from the National Weather Service, this forecast reflects a general trend with good to excellent mixing across Utah on Monday, with those values decreasing from the west moving into Wednesday. As far as 3-day precipitation amounts, really not a lot of precipitation is expected to fall across the Great Basin in the next 3 days. The exception to that will be across the Uinta Mountains in Utah, where they could see some precipitation over the next few days. As we move into Thursday, winds will continue to increase ahead of the approaching weather system, and as a result, mixing will be good to excellent across much of the area on Thursday. That trend will continue into Friday with good to excellent mixing across much of the area with our increasing winds. And on Saturday, again, much of the area will see good to excellent mixing with the exception of eastern Utah, where those winds will be a bit lower. And finally on Sunday, we will see the majority of the area with good to excellent mixing. If we look at the precipitation in the 4 to 5 day period, we see that Nevada will start to pick up precipitation in that longer time range, and that's as that weather system begins to move into the western part of the United States. Finally, looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for below normal temperatures across much of the Great Basin and above average precipitation across the entire Great Basin. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Our contact information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter.